eventually getting just as many great reviews as what Boy Meets World did back in the day. The plot of the show is something that I really appreciate because it's a really easy plot to follow. It's not something you're going to find great difficulty in following or understanding. It's not one of those shows you have to watch, say, 15 through 20 episodes or an entire season. It's not one that you have to binge like you do Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead to really understand, because there are a lot of TV shows out there that I watch of more mature themes like The Walking Dead and shows like, what's another one? Game of Thorns. That are really hard to follow. And, it takes me forever to get into the show's theme and what the show is really all about. The Walking Dead is another one that I watched probably about 15 or 20 episodes of before I actually understood what the actual point of the show was, along with the show's purpose. But this is not one of those shows that is very difficult to follow. You will find yourself becoming very interested in the show very quickly. You will not get lost in the show's concept, because what it focuses on are the trials and tribulations of Corey and Topanga's daughter, who actually goes through the trials and tribulations of high school, having to deal with teen and peer pressure. That's pretty cool how they put this show together, and it's so easy to follow and really easy to get into. And I think it's a show that doesn't actually appeal to one age demographic. There are a lot of places this show will take you. I think it can appeal to almost any age demographic when you actually sit back and put it into perspective, because, you talk about Disney shows and they usually focus on probably one or two age demographics, but this show seems to focus on every age demographic you could possibly think of. Someone from the age of 4 to 44 years of age will find something you like about Girl Meets World. For how many episodes we have seen, all the guest appearances, all the themes, the different episodes of Girl Meets World have focused on. Really appreciate what they have done. Really appreciate how Michael Jacobs also has come back for this show, like he was a big part of Boy Meets World back in the 90s, because without his direction for this show, I wonder where this show actually would go if it would have been taken under the direction of another producer, which it could have very easily done. So I'm really happy that Michael Jacobs is at least back for this, and I'm really happy that Disney is promoting this show beyond belief. The promotion for this show has been absolutely incredible. Every commercial break on Disney Channel in the U.S., they have been airing promos of new episodes of Girl Meets World, and just every day you're seeing new promos of this show being released, along with original promos when the show was first released. Really appreciate, I can't thank Disney enough for how much they promote their newer shows. It's amazing how much promotion their shows receive. Now, the promotion that the shows received back in the day were amazing too. I mean, shows like Wizards of Waverly Place and Hannah Montana were blown out of proportion when it came to promotion. But it seems like the newer shows like Dog with a Blog and Gravity Falls and Girl Meets World get unbelievable amounts of promotion. Every day we're seeing commercial advertising. We're seeing stars of the show promoting it, doing interviews. The publicity is absolutely unbelievable. And then you wonder, as a fan of shows like this, how come these shows are so popular? Well, it has to do with the commercial advertising, the radio interviews, the media appearances they make, the red carpet appearances, all the award shows they attend, all the awards they have been nominated for and they have won. The list of awards is unbelievable that this show has won so early. When it first kicked off, there was a lot of speculation about this show. Was I a critic of the show? Yes, pretty much so I was a critic of the show, because I said there's no way this show is going to be able to get off the ground. I will be honest with you and put it over this microphone. I said there was no way this show was going to get off the ground. There was no way it was going to surpass the expectations of the fans of a show like Boy Meets World, and it was going to go beyond what Boy Meets World had accomplished back in the 90s. But it pretty much is getting there. It's not there to the point right yet, but it will eventually get there. Really big fan of what they're doing with this show. And then you sit back and you wonder why the ratings of the show are so high and why so many people are finding great things to say about the show. All you have to do is really watch one episode of the show, and believe me, you will be hooked on this show. You can only find good things to say about the show. You'll find more good things to say about the show than you will negative things about this show. But take my word for it, one episode of Girl Meets World, and you will be hooked on this show, just for the message of the show, just for the stories of the show's episodes, just for the message the show is trying to convey. And I think it's a very positive message, like Disney is trying to keep with every one of their shows, especially their newer shows and the newer audience that Disney is getting all the time. It's a very different audience watching Disney Channel now than it was back in, say, 2004, 2005, when shows like Wizards of Waverly Place and Hannah Montana had a lot of novelty affiliated with it. Our age demographic and our audience has significantly changed over the years for Disney programming. It's unbelievable when you compare Disney programming and the audience that watched it from back in, say, '04 and '05 to the audience and the age demographic that are watching Disney now, and how Disney is distributing their shows is unbelievable, along with the promotional campaign. It's just amazing everything Disney has going for it. And I really appreciate what they've done for a show like Girl Meets World, the show that I even thought at one point was going to go nowhere. And believe me, I've talked to a lot of people who had affiliation with working with the previous installment of Girl Meets World, Boy Meets World. I've talked to a lot of guest appearances on the show, from Nick Foley to Vader. They all enjoyed their time on Boy Meets World, along with all the other celebrities who appeared on the show as guest stars of the show. And this show, Girl Meets World, has a lot of guest stars as well. So, I mean, the show is definitely following in the footsteps of Boy Meets World. There was no comparison between Boy and Girl Meets World, but I definitely think it's trying to follow in the footsteps of Boy Meets World, although it may never be a mirror image of what Boy Meets World was. I think there were something like 6 through 8 seasons of Boy Meets World back in the day. I pretty much am not too far off on that assumption there. I think there were 6 through 8 seasons. I know Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which was airing from Heartbreak Films, the production company of Melissa Joan Hart, went 6 through 8 seasons, and that show pretty much did the same thing, 6 through 8 seasons before the final episode of Boy Meets World aired back in the late 90s before it was killed off television. And the thing about these newer shows, the spin-offs, if you would, you're lucky to get 4 through 5 seasons, and I'm sure that's what we're going to see with Girl Meets World, although I would want to see more seasons of this show done in more episodes. This is a show that you could easily get about 100 episodes from before the show is actually finished. This is a project that I hope lasts a significant amount of time for Disney, because there's a lot that can be done with this show, and there's a lot of changes, a lot of metamorphical periods that this show could go through and that could benefit the show. There's so much that could be done with it. A lot of potential goes with this show. The same thing was being said by me about the show Victorious. I was very profitable on a TV show from Nickelodeon like Victorious, because I said there was so much that could be done with all the cast members and so much that could be done with the plot of the show. And unfortunately, we only got up to 4 seasons of Victorious before Victorious announced its final episode, and they announced they weren't going to be making any more episodes of a show like Victorious. I was really high on the future of Victorious, and I was really let down. I was also really high on the futures of Sam and Cat and the stars of that show, and I was also let down with that. That cloud of depression never did move out from underneath my head, and it's just amazing how many people, were behind these shows. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say the same thing, even though I was let down by shows like Sam and Cat and Victorious in the past. I'll say the same thing about Girl Meets World. Although a show is lucky to have 4 or 5 seasons produced of it, and a show like Boy Meets World and Sabrina the Teenage Witch had up to 6 through 8 seasons produced, I hope that we see more than 4 or 5 seasons of Girl Meets World, because there's so much that can be done with this show, and I think the audience of this show can definitely expand, and we can get more and more people interested in a show like this, because as I said in one of the quotes that I dropped on the graphic for this video blog, this is the best Disney Channel show, the best original show since, I believe, Wizards of Waverly Place. And believe me, Selena Gomez and Miley Cyrus and Emily Osment brought a lot out of those shows, and they really brought the best out of their potential, and they brought the best out of their characters. You couldn't have had anybody else better in the roles of characters like Harper and Alex and Miley and Emily for shows like Wizards of Waverly Place and Hannah Montana. So that's why I'm going on a limb, if you would, going out on the proverbial edge and saying that this show is one of the best since then, because it's definitely not a dog with a blog stealing it from me. It's definitely not Gravity Falls stealing it from me. It's definitely not nothing Nickelodeon is doing for me now, because it seems like the cancellation of shows like Victorious and iCarly, Nickelodeon have been trying to find themselves. And I've said this more than enough on sites like blogtalkradio.com. It seems like Nickelodeon is trying to take a step back, more than a step back, probably a few steps back, and trying to revamp themselves and trying to find themselves, and they've been unable to do it. And it seemed like when shows like Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place, finished up, they were trying to do shows like Shake It Up and Good Luck Charlie. Now, Good Luck Charlie is finished up. We have Bridget Miller now as part of the cast of Undateable, but it seems like even Disney was trying to find itself, and they seem to have found themselves again. They've kind of rekindled old memories, old references, if you would, with Girl Meets World, and they are definitely going to be taking this show places, because you can expect that Disney is going to spend on this show. They have already spent a significant amount in terms of value on a show like Girl Meets World, and the show is going to go places because of the significant amount of time and financial support that Disney has put behind this show. Just the promotional campaign alone for Girl Meets World is amazing. Just the fact they went out as far as to get the original cast members of Boy Meets World to both be there full time and to make guest appearances on the show is amazing. We've seen everybody from Minkus to Sean appear on the show as a guest star, and we've seen Ben Savage and the girl that plays Topanga, although I can't remember what her name was, do a tremendous amount. I think it was Danielle Fisher, actually, do a tremendous amount for the show in its first couple of episodes. It's amazing just how far this show has gotten. So in conjunction with that, I kind of want to reach out to you, and I want to ask you, what are your favorite moments from a show like Boy Meets World or a show like Girl Meets World thus far, although Girl Meets World still has a long way to go. I won't go all the way and give it a 5 out of 5-star potential rating on my scale like I usually do for some shows like I've done in the past, Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place. I will admit to you, for shows like Wizards and Hannah Montana and Good Luck Charlie, I've kind of jumped the proverbial gun, and I've said, you know, this show's going to go places, and this show's going to go places, and that show's going to have this done with it. Nothing seems to have ever been done with shows that I believed had probable futures. Now, indeed, they did have probable futures. If I didn't believe a show like Victorious was going to get somewhere, I would have never come on here and said over this microphone this show had a lot of potential and it was going to go places. Because, I mean, look at where Victoria Justice and Ariana Grande are now from me preaching about them all the time. Ariana Grande, every single she puts out off of her first or second album has found its way to the top of every Billboard chart as it appeared on. She's made a tremendous crossover from being an actress into a professional singer and done a great job doing it. One of the biggest pop stars in the world, Victoria Justice, presently has over 7 million, almost 8 million followers on Twitter. That's more than Dwayne Johnson or many of the top celebrities in the world right now. And it's all because me, along with countless other amounts of people, have been promoting the Jesus, if you would, out of people like Victoria Justice and Ariana Grande. So if we promoted the Jesus out of these stars of shows like Girl Meets World, like we've done for Selena Gomez and Miley Cyrus and Ariana Grande and Victoria Justice in the past, if we promoted the Jesus out of them as much as what we have stars of the past, then this show is guaranteed to have a probable future. So I want to put it out there to you to share with me your favorite moments from shows like Boy and Girl Meets World, although Girl Meets World may have a significant amount of years left in it and a long way to go. And I also want to stress to you that it all comes down to how much you promote a celebrity. That's the trick to doing these video blogs. If you promote celebrities